So we have the situation right now. The brothers come back home, right, to their father Yaakov, and they're all grieved and worried. They don't know what's going to be because now, right, they lost two brothers already, and one now has to also go back there. So what happens is like this, right? That as time passed by, they were sitting there for a little while. The famine got very severe. Became very severe. The famine, food was very short. So they had to go back there and again to buy because all the food that they bought, they ran out. It ran out. That's what happened. So since it ran out, now right, they go back to their father. They know their father doesn't want them to go with Binyamin. He's very scared to let him go, but they have no choice to take him. As we said, right, that Yosef HaTzadik forced them to bring him back. Otherwise, he's not going to sell to them anymore, right? And they have also Shimon over there waiting in jail. The truth is, right, that Shimon wasn't in jail. Why is that? Because when the brothers left Mitzrayim, right away Yosef HaTzadik took Shimon out and he took him, and sat him in the palace. He didn't want to have him in jail, as a brother, so he didn't want to have him in jail. So he had him sit and eat and everything, have a good time, enjoy himself. As soon as they left, he took Shimon out of jail. That's what he did, right? He just made it look like, he's a bad guy. He's a nasty boy, right? He's a nasty leader. He's right one of these autocrats, whatever. But once they left, Shimon was already out of jail. That's the way it was, right? But the point, they thought that he was in jail still, right? I'm sorry, yeah.
Does this come from a midrash or the Talmud?
Yeah, comes from Chazal. Sure, yes.
What?
Yeah, yes.
What, a midrashim?
Yes. So what happened was that Shimon was already out of jail, but they thought he was in jail. So they were in distress. They don't know what's going on. They don't know what's going to be. So what happened was, right now, they have to come back to their father and convince him to let Binyamin go. Otherwise, they have to buy more food. They're going to starve to death. That's the way it is, right? So who tried first, right, to convince the father? It was Reuven, right? Reuven was the firstborn, so he had actually, obligation to be a leader somewhat, even though he really wasn't the leader of the family, right? As we said, it was Yehuda who was the leader. Right? But Reuven was also somewhat trying to play that role as well, to play the role of the leader, this and that, whatever. So what happened was that he decides to go to the father, to Yaakov, and says, what, Abba, says, Father, I know things are very difficult. He says, but don't worry. If you bring Binyamin, let him go with me, I'll take the responsibility, for his safekeeping. Not only that, right? If something happens, if some disaster occurs, whatever. So I give you permission to kill my children. In other words, my sons you can kill. That's how much I am willing to take the responsibility. So what happens is like this, right? That Yaakov Avinu listens to these words of Reuven. He says, "Oh my God, this kid is like." He doesn't know what he's talking about, he lost his mind. Why would you think that I want you to kill your sons, what do you think? They're not my sons, they're my grandsons, So how is it going to help if you're going to kill your sons, if you can't bring back Binyamin alive? What kind of thing is this to say, right? So he says, this guy's, he lost his mind. This is crazy what he's saying. And by the way, we see from here, one of the reasons why Reuven was not really Zocheh to be the leader of the family, because he didn't have the proper, judgment. Right. He didn't have the proper judgment, to say such a thing like this. A real leader would not, have the, it's kind of like a foolish thing to say, as you can understand, right? What does it help to kill your children? That's going to help me. What? So I should be mourning for 4 people instead of 2.
Didn't Reuben also do something wrong? He slept with one of Jacob's concubines?
We already talked about that, right? We spoke about that many weeks ago.
Oh, okay.
So anyway, the point is, Rabotai, that Yaakov, once he hears the foolish words of Reuven, so he says, my son is not going to go with you, but Binyamin, I'm sorry, there's no way in the world I'm going to let him go with you. Because you're a fool! He didn't say that, but that's what he was thinking, right? You think I'm going to let him go with a fool like you? Says these kind of foolish words. So that didn't work out, right? So you know what? They came back, right? Reuven comes to the brothers. He says, I can't convince him, to let us go, to let Binyamin go. I don't know what to do. I give up. Yeah, I tried. So Yehuda tells him like this, right? Yehuda hears this whole story. So he tells the brothers, you know what? Just wait. time heals all the wounds. Right? That's what he tells us. Time will heal everything. Why is that? Because as the time goes along, right, and the food becomes more scarce, even in the end he'll have no choice. Let's wait a little bit, a couple of weeks, whatever. As the food dwindles, they're not going to have any choice but to, right, but to let him go. So he says, just wait. The old, right? He told him, the old man will understand in the end what's going to be, right? Doesn't going to have any choice. Talking about his father. That's what they did, So Yehuda was wise, right? He was a wise boy, right? He understood all these things. He knew that once the pressure got too great, there would be no choice. So what happened was they waited a little bit, right? A couple of weeks. And then, Yehuda decides to go into the father again, right? Now the food is very scarce. God knows it's going to be, right? The animals are going to die. They're not going to have, right, food to feed the animals. And the people will start always starving. It's going to be like, So he goes to the father right now, Yehuda, and he tells him like this. He says, Abba, he says, let me tell you the bottom line over here, what's going on, right? He says, look, the food is running out. Sooner or later, we're all going to starve to death here. So he says, we have no choice, but we have to go back there. And we cannot go back there if we don't take Binyamin, because the ruler over there said, right, that if you don't bring your younger brother with you, don't come back here, right? Don't see my face again. That's the way it is, right? So, Yehuda tells his father more, right? He talks to him like a rabbi, Tamid Chacham. What does he say? He says to him, listen, he says, you're worried about your son, right? Maybe something will happen to him, right? Binyamin. You're worried about Binyamin. So he says, you know what? You have to think about it halakhically speaking, according to halakha. If he goes with us, 50-50. Maybe he'll die, maybe he won't die, maybe something will happen, maybe something won't happen. It's a doubt, safek, right? 50-50. But he says, if we don't go, all of us will for sure die, right? So he says, which one do you prefer, right? That maybe doubtfully that he will die, or for sure all of us will die, right? What's better according to halakha, according to Jewish law? So he knew that his father had to answer, right? That it's better for him to go because, it's always better that it should be a doubt than it should be like for sure. Obviously, right? It's a clear decision. So therefore, I told his father. I said, you know what? I said, that's between you and me. Which is the better choice over here. Let's talk. Let's be frank. This was a good argument, by the way, right? This was a wise leader, right? Not like Reuven who's talking these foolish words. It wasn't going to get anything done like that, right? You have to know how to. By the way, you see from there that a person, right, he needs to speak with wisdom with people. Don't just blurt out all kinds of things. Which are going to make you look crazy, make you look foolish. Who's going to listen to you like that? A person has to weigh the proper, approach to these things, right? You have to know how to speak. This is what it means to be a leader, by the way. That's the whole thing, right? Don't just blurt out all kinds of things. Irresponsible speech that's going to make people angry, and resent you, and okay, you know how it is. You know what's going on. I don't have to tell you. Okay. So anyway, the point is, right? The point is that tells Yehuda also, right, something else, right, to his father. He says, you know what? Listen, I take the responsibility for him. It's on my shoulders. In other words, I'm fully responsible. But not only that, he says, if I don't bring him back alive to you, complete and alive, right? He says, I personally will take upon myself to be, excommunicated. I'll take upon a ban, I'll be banned. From the world to come, I won't have any share over there. He says, I'll take upon that. So you know how much I want to be in the world to come. I want to be in Olam Haba. And so he says, I'll take the responsibility. If I don't bring him back to you, I will personally bear the price. I will pay the price. That's what he tells him. So when he tells his father these words, right? These words were more convincing. So he said, okay, we have no choice. He says, you're right. What can I do? You're right. We have no choice. There's nothing else we can do. But he says, since you are, all right, you decided to go and we have no choice, so what we're going to do is like this, right? It says, let's make a plan, right? Let's have a strategy over here. Because if you go back empty-handed, it's not going to look so good, right? Why? Because as we mentioned last week, what happened was that they sent back the money with them, right? That they paid for the food. So this was like, they were suspicious. This was like a entrapment, some kind of a way to frame them, to put them all in jail and all this, right? So they said, he said, take that money that they gave you, whether it was by mistake or whatever it was, take back that money. Take it back, and take back also more money to buy more food. So take back double money, right? Double the amount. This way, just in case they say, right, oh, what happened with that money? Why did you take it? This and that. So we'll say, okay, we give it back to you. It was a mistake, we found it in our sacks. So whatever it was, we give it back to you, right? We're not here to steal. We're not here to embezzle anybody, right? Anything like that. We're not here to play these kinds of games. So he says, take back that money. Number one. Number two, also another thing, right? Which is what? That give the guy a gift, a gift. What does that mean? Take some nice foods, some nice treats, right? Some good wine, some good delicacies. Take it with you and bring it to him as a gift. This way he'll say, oh, these people are very good people. They're noble people, right? They're benevolent. They bring a gift over here. So this way his wrath will subside, just in case he's angry or whatever it is. And by the way, we learn from here, right, the famous saying that we see in Shlomo Melech, right, says that what? That a gift brings a person on his way. What does that mean? That if you want something from somebody, a favor or whatever, the best thing to do is give him a gift. This way, right, it'll soften up his heart. We Georgians, we know that, right? We know these tricks. We know the Georgians are very knowledgeable about that, especially the older generation, right? The younger ones that don't know these things so well. They think everything, I have rights, I deserve everything, Give me, I deserve this, I deserve. You don't deserve anything, if you want something from somebody, you want a favor, what makes you think you automatically is going to do it for you? You should give him something, give him a gift. Grease the guy, They say, right? You got to grease him a little bit. Give him something. And this way, right, whatever you want, you will get what you want if you give something in return. That's the way it is, right? That's the way the world is. So Yaakov Avinu, knowing that, right, knowing that this is the right way, so he gave them all kinds of delicacies to take, right? This kind of delicacies, special things that are grown in Eretz Israel. They don't grow anywhere else. So this way, right, something unusual. It's something, right, which it's like a special treat which you don't have in this country. So I'm bringing you from our land, all kinds of beautiful things like this. This way, right, you can know all these things, right? We brought you, why? Because we respect you. We want to have good dealings with you. We want to do business together. Always buy food from you and do all kinds of things, right? Good, have good relations. So that's what you got to do, right? Take some good stuff. There was special wine over there also, right, in Eretz Israel. That special wine over there, very strong, good quality wine. So they also sent that with them, right? Wine and delicacies and fruits and all kinds of things. There's all kinds of fruits in Eretz Israel which are not found anywhere else, especially the taste of them, right? They have a special taste in Eretz Israel. The fruits over there are much better usually. The quality of the fruits in Eretz Israel are usually much better, like sweeter and larger, and they're big, like they're humongous and all kinds of things. So he gave them all these kinds of things to take to them in order that they should find favor in their eyes. That's what he does, right? And this, you learn from there a moral lesson, right? As we said. So what happens like this, right? They go now, right, back there. They take Binyamin. They have no choice. Take Binyamin.
So did they come with a party, or just this time alone again?
It was basically the 10 brothers. That's what it was. Yeah, nobody else. They didn't need anybody else. I mean, it's possible, by the way, they took also, the truth is we don't find that they took anybody, to be honest with you.
They have like a caravan, it's a lot of goods.
You know why? I'll tell you something. We're going to see later on, the shows, the story, the narrative shows, they didn't really take anybody else. They went by themselves. And by the way, why is it that they didn't take any slaves or servants? Because they were, 10 men. They can take care of themselves. You know what I'm saying? We're not talking about like 1 or 2 people. We're talking about 10 strong men who can find their way. Everything they need to do, they can find their way. So they didn't really need now to go with an entourage over there. And by the way, I guess maybe one of the reasons why they didn't take an entourage is because they didn't want to make them feel threatened. They're coming with an army, with officers and guns. People are coming there, to take over here. You know what I'm saying? They didn't want to make it look threatening. And this is one of the reasons probably why they didn't want to do this. To make it look very, conspicuous. You're coming here with officers and guards, armed guards. It makes it look like threatening to them. That's probably why they didn't want to do it this way. So they go back down there, right? So what happens is that they were automatically redirected as they went there, right? What does that mean? They thought that they were going to go to that place where they sell the goods. But no, right? What happens is that meets them Menashe on the way, right? Who's the son of Yosef. They don't know that that's his son. He meets them and he says, you know what? He says, welcome, welcome back. See that you came back and you did what what the king told you to do, to bring your brother, your younger brother. Very nice, right? So what happens is, right, that he tells them, but Yosef HaTzadik, the king, he doesn't tell them who it is. He tells them he wants to have a private audience with you. So you know what? I'm going to now redirect you to go to the private palace of the Yosef, right? And you're going to be wait there, and he's going to come and meet you there. He's not there right now. In a couple of hours, he will come to meet you. Right? So I wanted to redirect you over there, right? So this was also, by the way, very suspicious in their eyes, this thing, right? Why was it suspicious? They thought, see what's happening? They're redirecting us over to the palace. Why? Probably they want to have us there and arrest us over there, right? Get all of us arrested and put all of us in jail. So they were very worried about what's going to be, right? That's what they were thinking, right? So what happened was that as they were waiting for Yosef to come and to meet them, so they started to talk to Menashe, right? Because they knew he was in charge of the house. He was chief of staff over there. So they started talking to Menashe and say, sir, excuse me. We want to tell you something, about what happened last time that we were here. They said it's very, very strange. When we went back to our place, to our home, we found, right, on the lodging, on the way over there at the hotel, we found that the money was put back in our sacks. So therefore, right, this was a mistake, it seems, that they put back the money because we already paid for everything. We didn't want to take anything for free. We paid, and now all of a sudden, right, we see that the money was reimbursed in our sacks, and this was very, very shocking to us. So therefore, what we did was, in order to, that there shouldn't be any misunderstanding, we brought back all the money, and we're going to pay double now, right? We're going to pay for the first batch that we took, and also we're going to pay for the second batch as well that we're taking now. That's what they told Menashe, right? Why they do this? Because they wanted to make sure, right, that there should be no misunderstanding or some kind of frame up, some kind of con job over here, something like that, right? That's what they did in order to avoid this problem. So what does Menashe answer? Menashe answers them right away, right? He says, don't worry. He says, we didn't put back the money there. We don't know who that was. Maybe God, because He loves you. God loves you, and He put back the money. So there's no worry. And we got the money, right? We were paid for the merchandise you took. So whatever you have in your sacks, it must be a gift from God. That's what he tells them. Right? That's what he tells them. So they were calmed down by this, right? So he acknowledged that they were paid that money, they got their money, and therefore, right, there wasn't going to be any over here, some frame-up job, some con job over here, right, to arrest them and whatever. So this made them feel more calm, right? So what happens is now, they're waiting over there. While they're waiting, by the way, what does the pasuk say? The verse says that they were preparing now the gifts that they brought, right? They want to, because they brought it for safekeeping, right? So they put it, in cold containers, right? All these things, and now all of a sudden they want to take it out and make it presentable, make it gift wrapped and nice and to present it to a king, you have to, to have it look nice and presentable. So therefore, that's what they did, right? They were making everything look nice, wrapping it up and wrapping, bows and these all kinds of gift wrapping and this, the packaging, right? Everything to make it look appealing. That's what they were doing, right? As Yosef HaTzadik was not there yet, so they took advantage of that time to make the whole gift look really nice and that's the way it is. That's the way it is, right? So all of a sudden, Yosef HaTzadik comes, right? And they give him the gift. They bow down to him again, right? The same thing, right? So we see, right, that the dreams were fulfilled. That these two dreams, they bowed down to him twice, right? Just like they had those two dreams. So we see, right? That's exactly what happened. Okay. So what happens like this, right now? So Yosef HaTzadik tells them, Menashe told them beforehand also, right? What did he tell them? He said, you know what? The reason we brought you to the palace is because the king wants to honor you. He wants to have a meal together with you, right? Dinner, There's going to be a state dinner over here, right? Together with you and everybody, the brothers, right? And also the king and everybody, we're going to be all sitting together to have a nice dinner together. Wow, that sounds good, right? So all of a sudden, Yosef HaTzadik now starts to put all kinds of tricks on them, right? Again, he starts to do all these tricks. So what does he do, right? He has this now silver goblet, right? This like long cup that they drink wine from, whatever. So he was like pretending that he's using this goblet to do like divination, to do sorcery, So what he did was like this was all to pretend. He didn't need any of this stuff, right? So what he did was like this, right? He takes the goblet and he's like actually like looking in there like some kind of crystal ball kind of thing, whatever. So he's looking and he says, you know what? I see that which one, the Yehuda from you, he's the king of the brothers, right? So let him sit at the head of the table, right? And then we'll put all the other brothers in according to their birth, right? Whoever is older, the older one will be first. Reuven, Shimon, right? Levi, like that, right? So he puts every one of them like in the right order. Yehuda is the head of the table, and then the brothers, and according to their date of birth, he puts them right, like everything, So it makes it look like, oh, this guy's, diviner. He knows how to do all these tricks and by sorcery. But he knew this from the house, from the home, all these things. He didn't need any of the sorcery. It was all fake. This whole thing, right? Making it look like convincing, whatever. So what happens is like now, right? They start to serve the dinner, but there's one thing, right? That there's also Egyptians over there, right? They brought, all kinds of ministers and this and that. They're all sitting together. But they can't really sit together in one table. Right? Why? What's the reason why? The Egyptians had to be separate, and the Jews had to be separate, right? The brothers, and Yosef had to be separate. What's the reason for all this separation? So the answer is, Rabbi, that, as we said, right, that the Egyptians had this crazy thing where they had their god was the sheep, right? They worshipped sheep as gods.
Right.
So because of that, they never ate sheep. You can't eat your god. You just have to make sure you don't eat your god.
Like the Indians eat the cow.
Right. Whatever. So if it's a god, you don't eat it, right? Okay. So you can't kill it, you can't eat it, you can't slaughter it, you can't whatever. So what happens like this, right? It's because of that, the Jews do eat sheep, right? They're carnivores, right? They like to eat meat, right? We like to eat meaty stuff. So what happens is, right, that they had to sit separately. Why? Because for the Egyptians to sit with people who eat sheep, meat, it's an abomination by them.
Was Yosef eating sheep all this time? Lamb? Was Yosef eating lamb all this time?
Doesn't say really what he was doing over there, But the truth is that probably he was. You know why? Because he himself was not participating with their religious practices. He didn't want to have any part in that, right? So they knew that he was a Hebrew. He was a Jew, They knew that. It was very well known. It wasn't a secret over there. So since they knew that he was a Hebrew, he was a Jew, so therefore they knew that he had different dietary customs. Right. So by then, so what happened was, right, that the brothers, they say to Yosef, oh, you're serving us meat. Oh, very nice. Oh, wow. But so the brothers tell Yosef like this, right? They said, listen, we can't have this meat, because it's not kosher. We have to do ritual slaughter. We got to do soaking and salting. We got to take out the fats, the forbidden fats, all this thing. So we cannot eat like that, like you. What do you think? We're Jews. They didn't know that he was Jewish, right? Still going on with the charade. The charade goes on, right? So the Yosef HaTzadik tells them, he says, no, he says, my meat you can have. Why? Why is that? He says, we do kosher everything over here. So, everything is kosher. He says, you kosher? Why do you do kosher? What, you're Jews? You're Egyptians. So it says, no, it says, we have a family custom, by me, that everything we do like the Jews. We do everything kosher. So he says, let me take you back to the kitchen, to the slaughterhouse. Everything, we'll show you how slaughter is done. We'll show you everything is done according to the Jewish way. Right? Tells them like this, right? He showed them, took them in the back, right? This is how we slaughter, this is how we soak in salt, this is how we separate the fats. See? Everything is glad kosher. Wow. Unbelievable, right? But it's even Bet Yosef, right? Bet Yosef. This was the house of Yosef. Bet Yosef. So everything was Bet Yosef, right? As we said, right? So what happens is they shows them all this. So now they know. Give them a kick. So now they know they can eat all this, right? They feel everything is glad kosher, right? Very good. So what happens is like this, right? That now they start to eat the dinner, and so they're having a good time, by the way. How good of a time were they having? Eating, drinking wine, this, having a good time. Everybody's so happy and joyous and this and that, Why was it, by the way, so joyous, this whole dinner, right? Why was it such a happy occasion? Because this was the first time that the brothers were united for all those years that he was sold. Right? Can you imagine? So this made them feel happy. They didn't even know why they were happy. But, the Shekhinah was there. The divine presence was there. Why? Because now, and by the way, because the truth is that these brothers were so righteous, by the way, the brothers, that all the time that they sold Yosef HaTzadik to Mitzrayim, they made a decision, right, as a form of atonement, that they wouldn't they wouldn't drink wine, right, all that time, in order to atone for their sin of selling their brother. So all those 17 years that they sold him, they were not drinking wine, at all. That was their custom, right? So this was the first time now, after all those years, that they sat down to eat and drink wine, to have like a feast like that, to have a party. Because wine, is
Yosef was not found yet in their eyes.
Right, but since he served it to them, so that's why, right? He served them wine. It was like, so you can't refuse, like when you have a king who tells you to do, they say, by the way, there's a rule in Judaism, you should know, right? You know what the rule is? The rule is that when you go to somebody's house to eat, so you should follow the rules of the balabait, of the host, right? Don't say, oh, I don't want this. What do you mean you don't want? He's telling you to eat that. You came to his home, so honor him by eating what he wants you to eat. Unless you have some kind of problem, you can't eat this, you can't eat that, right? As we said, it's not kosher, that's something else. We're not talking about that. We're talking about you go to a Jewish home, the home is kosher, right? The religious people. So you should eat there. Why are you telling him, oh, I don't eat this, I don't eat that? Make him happy, give him some, this is the Jewish way. The Jewish way is, when you go to somebody's home, do what he does, the way he does, you should do. And that's why they wanted to accommodate him, right? Especially in a case like this, where he's a king, to make him happy, to make him feel good. So now all the brothers are together, right? Shimon and all is there. Yosef is there, right? Binyamin is there. Everybody's there together. Can you imagine all the tribes together in one occasion? This was the first time for a long time that this happened. This whole thing. So what happens is like this, right? They're having a good time, enjoying, partying, this and that. So they have a long night, right? And they wake up in the morning, right? And now they want to go back home, right? So what happens is like this, right? The Yosef HaTzadik decides now to pull the biggest trick on them, right? Out of all these tricks, right? The biggest stunt over here. A frame job, con job, right? Framed up, right? Gonna make him frame, right? He must have gotten the FBI to do this, right? The Justice Department, right? DOJ, right? He must have gotten them. They know how to do all these things, right? So so he got them to be involved with this. So what does he do? He tells Menashe, right? He says, now they're gonna go home, right? They're gonna go back with their stuff. So he tells him, he's like this. There's a few things I want you to do. Number one, put back their money again, right? Same thing, right? Don't take their money. I don't want their money. Give everything for free. Number one. Number two, give them lots of food for everybody. There should be enough for them. Give them all their heart's desire, right? Number two, be liberal with them, generous, right? Number two. Number three, he says, you know what? Now, I want you to take my silver goblet that I'm using, for this fake divination and all this stuff, right? I want you to take that and put it in the sack of the youngest one, Binyamin, right? Put in Binyamin's sack. Hide it there, so he's not going to see it when you're putting it in, right? And let them go back home. That's it. Right? Release them. Let them go on their way back. So what happened was, right, that before I tell you what happens afterwards, I want to tell you also an interesting thing. What happened here? Right? Which was what? That he tells during the dinner, right? He pulled also a stunt on them there. What was the stunt that he pulled? The stunt that he pulled was that he told the chef who was giving out the food, right? Give the best food to Binyamin, and also give him 5 times portion, more than anybody else, right? Give Binyamin everything best, and also much more than everybody else.
But everybody got also whatever the heart desired.
Right.
King's house.
So Binyamin got more, right? So what happened was that he did this to test them, right? What was the reason why? Because he wanted to see if they're going to be jealous of him, like, this one gets preferential treatment. Why is that, by the way? What's the reason why he wanted to test them like that? Because he wanted to see if they did tshuva on what they did. If they were jealous of Yosef because he got preferential treatment from their father. So he wanted to see, will they now also do the same thing for Binyamin? Will they be jealous of him also? Let's see if they did tshuva or not, right? So therefore he gave preferential treatment to Binyamin in order that they should not have any jealousy towards him, right? And ignore these things. What do you care? What's it to you? The king wants to give him more. Now we're going to be jealous of that too? You're going to be playing these games again, childish games? Like you did 17 years ago? Let's see. So he was still testing them, to see if they did tshuva. As we said, right, we kind of spoke negatively about this, right, before. We said, right, that what was it for him to test all these things, to do all these tests? So the truth is, right, on the positive side, there was some justification for him to do these tests. Even though I personally think, right, that it wasn't the right thing to do, but I can tell you that his intention was like this, right? He wanted to see if they were really, they had the merit to be the tribes of Israel, to come from them. If they really did tshuva, and they really now, right, were behaving in a noble and benevolent manner, right, in a kind manner to their brothers. Why? Because he said like this, I know it's going to be now. They're going to come down to Mitzrayim. I know. They're going to come and live here. They're going to all move. And when they do, I'm going to have to support them, right, and give them financial support, food, everything. They're all going to be dependent on me. So he said, you know what, before I invest all this money in them, I want to make sure that they're worthy of that. Understand? If they're worthy, that I should give them all these good things for free. Because if they're not righteous, if they're wicked, if they're sinners, I don't want to do all these things for them. Why should I support sinners? Why should I support wicked people? By the way, you should know that this also applies to a person who has a son. This idea. That what? They say, right, if you see that your son grows up, right? Lo alenu. Lo alenu, lo alechem, right? What? If you see that person's son grows up, and he's a rasha, this guy, Hashem Yerachem, right? We shouldn't see from it. So what does that mean? He's a sinner, does all kinds of sins, this, that, whatever. You see that he's not behaving in the ways of the Torah. But he wants to be with you, and be your son, and this and that, and take your money. Okay, Dad, where's my allowance every week? Take this, take that, this and that, right, or whatever. So the truth is, right, that the question is, when a son grows up already, and he's already fully grown, and he's a rasha, you see that he's not going in the ways of the Torah. So the truth is, right, that the Chazal, the rabbis, looked negatively at a person who supports a son like that. Why should you waste your money on a person who's a rasha? Let him go and work. Let him go and take a job, and find his way through. Well, I have to support a rasha. I only support the approach of the Chazal, of the sages was, we only support our children. When they're grown up, I'm talking about, not when they're kids, right? We only support them if we see that they're behaving in the proper way. If they're not, go get a job, buddy. What is, you want a free lunch? There's no free lunch, right? Go and find your way in life. I'm not going to give money to a rasha. So the same thing was Yosef HaTzadik, you know what I mean? That he didn't want, and by the way, same thing goes for a person who has children also, and he wants now to leave them an inheritance, right? So the question is, should he leave money to a son who's a rasha? So the truth is, the Chazal looks down negatively at this, right? Not to do that. If he's a rasha, don't leave him money. Let him make his own way. Let him work. Let him get a job. Ubeduri, he's ubeduri. So let him get his own. Let him do his own thing. Why should I leave my money for somebody who's a wicked person? So what a person.
What about brothers and sisters?
Same thing. Even more, right? Why should I give somebody money to a rasha? So therefore, what they said was like this, right? That when a person has a wicked son, there's no reason to. There's one rabbi who said in the Talmud like this, right? I think it was Rabbi Meir, big rabbi. So he said, you know what? I'm not leaving any money for my children, as an inheritance. Why not? They asked him, right? Why don't you want to leave your money for your child? Don't you want to have mercy on him? So he said like this, right? The rabbi. He said, if my child is righteous, right? Hashem will give him money anyway, right? Righteous, Hashem gives them money. He gives them everything that they need. Shi'asali kol tzarki, right? We're talking about the brachot that we say every day. He gives me all my needs. Hashem gives all the needs for everybody. So if he's righteous, automatically Hashem will support him anyway. So why does he need my money for? If he's a rasha, the other way around, he doesn't deserve my money anyway, right? So why should I give him? So either way, right? If he's righteous, Hashem will support him. If he's not righteous, why should I give him my money, right? I have better things to do with my money. So what am I talking about? I'm talking about a case where a person who really doesn't have like a lot of money, he's not a tycoon, he's not a billionaire, this kind of thing. He just has enough money to survive for himself. So in a case like that, really, there's no reason for a person to leave money for his children, because if he's a tzaddik, Hashem will help him anyway. If he's not a tzaddik, he doesn't deserve it. So why should I give him my money?
What constitutes tzaddik or rasha?
Rasha means, what does rasha mean, by the way? What does it mean, rasha? Rasha means he's a sinner. That means he does sins in public. Let's say he breaks Shabbat in public, right? Goes and doesn't eat kosher. He shaves with a blade. He does. Norako is not enough for him, right? He's got to go with the blade. Mr. Smooth, smooth. What's smooth? Can't shave with the machine. What's it with you? You got to use a razor. Excuse me. Rasha, the person is like that, Rasha. So for what to leave money for him? For what? So he can do more sins? The more money you give him, the more sins he'll do. That's what you need to do money for. For what? That's the approach that the Chazal had, by the way, which is, by the way, not our approach. Like we look at it differently. Have mercy on your children, have mercy. But the Chazal said, no, don't have mercy on a rasha. Ubeduria,
So in the old days, nobody shaved.
I'm sorry?
In the old days, nobody shaved.
No, you're allowed to shave with a machine. But you were saying before they had the machine. Yeah. So you're allowed to shave. You're allowed to shave with scissors. You can't use a blade, but you can use scissors. Yeah, sure.
Because scissors don't shave. You cut.
Yeah, you cut. Yeah, that's you.
You still have a beard.
Well, the truth is, to be honest with you, let me tell you something. There's also another solution, Jimmy. You know what they do? By the way, when you want a solution in life, you can always find a solution. There's a solution for everything. So what's the solution? You know what they do in yeshivot? These boys, who go to the Ashkenazi yeshivot, they're all clean shaven. These boys, they don't have beards. Most of them, clean shaven, like a baby. So what do? They use cream. The cream you're allowed to use. They use this cream, what you put on, like the ladies use, for their legs. Same thing. They use that stuff. They put it on. And it takes it off. It does. It does a very smooth job, by the way. It comes out super smooth. I've seen people do it. Like a baby, they come out. Beautiful. Better than a blade.
It's better to leave a little bit beard.
You're right. But that's a chumrah, It's a chassidut.
Says without a little bit of hair on your face.
According to halacha, a person is allowed to shave with cream. Even though it takes off everything. Smooth like a baby. You're allowed to be smooth like a baby. You want to be like a baby? Baby face? Nice. Very good. I have nothing against it, right? You're right. It's better to have a beard, But it's a stringency.
It's like you're missing an organ.
It's a stringency, This is chumrah. So there is a solution, If you want to be smooth, you can be smooth. You can use a machine. You can use a cream, right? There's all kinds of solutions. There's Baruch Hashem. We have ways to do.
But beard is also, even if you have a very little amount, it's already a beard.
So I see that you like this. You like this idea, but I think I commend you on that, by the way. I commend you. I think it's very good. But we're talking about halakha. Halakha is halakha.
You want to keep a beard? Keep a beard.
Yeah, it's good. It's very praiseworthy. It's praiseworthy, very praiseworthy. Yeah, I'm saying, yeah. But a person who wants to be a baby, wants to be a baby face, I have nothing against that. We have the halakha doesn't see nothing against that. By the way, I was also asked a question recently by one of the community here, the Bukharian guy actually. Right? He doesn't pray here, but he's a friend of mine. So he asked me a question, which is what? That now they have like these the laser removal, right? It's permanent removal. You remove it and it's gone. You'll never come back. That's the way it is, right?
I don't know anybody who would want to do that though.
Okay, interesting. Yeah. But the truth is, right? What he asked me was like this, right? Can I do laser removal on my face also? And this way I won't have to shave every week or whatever, every month, whatever it is. Don't have to shave all the time. So what's the answer? According to what I researched, right? I did some research on that, and I wrote also an answer on my emails, whatever, on my Facebook, whatever. I wrote over there that the truth is that there is no prohibition for that. to use laser, to shave with a laser, even though it'll never come back. There is no prohibition. Why is that? Because the only prohibition is to use like a blunt object, like a razor or a piece of glass, like a knife, things like, sharp object. That's the only prohibition. But to use cream and to use, this kind of removal, there is no prohibition on them.
So this guy wants to get rid of a God-given...
That's it, right, exactly. Exactly what you just said.
Yeah.
That's right, what I wrote. After I wrote that it's allowed to do that, but then I said I recommend, as a friendly recommendation, don't do it this way. Why is that? Because one day you may want to grow a beard, and then you won't be able to, So as a friendly recommendation, not as a halakha, I recommended that it's better not to do that, because one day, maybe you want to be like, like Neknisim, the real. Why not? If you want to do like that.
Yes.
I swear I keep it just for that.
In the summertime,
A little bit even. It's chasadim. You need to have.
Yeah.
So when I gave him the answer, by the way, when I gave him this answer.
I'm going to use the cream, so I'm going to shop. Actually, I don't know, since we're on the subject, I don't know if I remember...
Yeah. When I gave him this answer, I'm sorry, you want to...
Yeah, I remember when we were at an age when we started shaving.
Yes.
And you, even back then, even though you weren't observant yet...
Yeah. I never used the blade. You know why? Because my father didn't use. Like, it was a tradition by us, My father didn't use, so I didn't use also.
What I find with the Nirolko is, my father swore that he couldn't put a blade up against his face. He would butcher himself.
Right.
But with the Nirolko, he could sometimes, my father was a very hairy guy.
Okay.
With the Nirolko, he swore he could shave even twice a day. Now me, every time I do it, I'm in pain.
Wow. Sensitive skin. You have sensitive skin. You're sensitive.
With the machine.
Yeah.
I'm just very sensitive.
Yeah, I understand.
I get a rash.
Sure.
Your skin gets used to it, though.
No.
There's also solutions for these things as well, you know what it is? There are some machines you could use wet, like with a cream also. There are some machines like that. So that may help you.
I've tried
I used to shave with a razor when I was younger. My father, grandfather, they all told me.
Yes.
Many years.
Interesting.
And for sure. And it affects my skin poorly.
By the way, there are rabbis that don't allow even the
machines.
Even the rotor.
Yes, you're absolutely right. I know that.
There's a video with a bunch of guys.
Yes.
In Brooklyn, where they remove the blade that does the lift and cut.
Yes, they remove that, right? Yes,
remove it.
Yes. I know that.
Yeah.
I'm well aware of that. By the way, we've researched this quite extensively.
It's nonsense.
So the halacha is like this, right? Even though there are some who are stringent about that, some rabbis, not to use lift and cut and all kinds of close shaves like that, machines like that. But after we looked at it carefully, and we also saw, by the way, two big rabbis, Rav Moshe Feinstein, who was the big rabbi in America, and Moreno Rabbeinu, Rav Ovadia, our rabbi also. He also said, right, that you're allowed to use a machine, whether it's Norelco or lift and cut or any of these things. And the reason is like this, right? The reason behind the permission to use them is like this, right? That the halacha says in Shulchan Aruch that you're allowed to use scissors to shave, even though you put it right next to your skin, like very close, close scissor shave. There are some, by the way, who know how to do that. They can go like very close with the scissors.
Yeah.
There's a technique like that, right? Today we don't use it so much. We don't need it. So we don't. In the old days they had this technique. They used to go very close with the scissors, really, really close. Today you don't need this. You have a machine. What do you need for? But the point is like this, right? That since the halacha tells us, Shulchan Aruch tells us that you're allowed to use scissors, even though it's very close on your face. So therefore, really, the action of the machine is the same as that. Why is that? Because there's a screen on top, right, of the knife. There's a screen.
Right.
Yeah? So what happens is that those rotating knives, which are rotating under the screen, basically it's like scissors. You know why? Because you have the screen and you have the knife, and they're going like double, so it's like scissors. You understand? So the action of the machine is really like the scissor action.
No, with the machine,
it's not a blade.
The idea is, even with the one that my father couldn't shave with, like the brawn, with the foil.
Yes.
The idea is the blade doesn't really touch your skin.
Yes, exactly. That's the whole point. We gotta make you rabbi. We gotta make you a rabbi, David.
I have 5 machines at home. I've tried every one.
God bless.
Even though I find it.
Yeah.
I have cut myself with a machine, by the way.
Yes.
You can cut yourself.
Yes, it's true.
Very close.
It's true. And that's why the rabbi said about Shalom. He told us several times, even though I do allow using a machine, but don't press too hard. Right. He told us, right? As a good advice. don't press too hard. By the way, it's just good advice. Not that it's not allowed to press, but it's better not to press.
Is the issue drawing blood from the face? What's the issue?
No, the blood is not the issue. The issue is that to put the knife on your skin. That's the issue.
On your face. You're not
above your neck. Above your neck.
By the way, the truth is, rabbinically speaking, also you're not allowed to use a blade on your body as well. Yeah, you can use even for your legs, whatever, anything, any part of the body. You can use a woman is allowed to. That's something else. A woman is allowed to use a blade on her whole body.
Oh, I see.
Whether it's her. That's a nice idea. Okay, we'll think about that. So the horror movie, right? The Shining, whatever. Okay. So Rabbi, so what I'm telling you is like this: a woman can use a blade anywhere on her body, no problem with that whatsoever, and she can use any of those creams.
Why her face is not considered holy? Only we're considered holy.
Oh.
That's the whole.
Wow! Now you're getting into a very deep concept over here. Very deep Kabbalistic concept. David, you're getting me too deep over here. We're going too deep over here.
I don't care.
It's good.
No, it is a deep concept.
Yeah, it's a deep concept over here, which is why.
Your horn. That's why I asked.
You know what it says in Zohar Kadosh, by the way? That I want to tell you regarding what you're asking, that a woman should not have a beard, and that's the way Hashem made them, not to have a beard. And there's a reason for that, by the way. Why is that? We already discussed this, in our former lectures, that women, right, are the quality of judgment, and the man is the quality of kindness, right? We discussed this. So what it is like this, right? That the beard has also quality of judgment. The hair is quality of judgment there. So they said, right, since women have the quality of judgment, if they would grow a beard, that quality would become too strong in them. It would be too powerful. So because of that, that's the reason why women should not have a beard. And that's why Hashem made them smooth. Right? Most of them, right? Except some ladies, I don't want to get into it.
2 seconds.
Okay.
If hair is Deen, the lower hair is Chassidim.
Yeah. I'm sorry? You're right, it's true, but there's also a quality
So a person
of
who has
din,
a beard
right?
has more judgment?
No, it's only for the women. For the man, it's not like that. You're right. Good that you say that.
Is that why you haven't been even trimming your beard lately? Because.
Oh boy, no! Let's not get personal, okay? If we get into that stuff, we'll be here all night. Well, in the morning we'll be here.
Yeah.
Shachrit, for Shachrit we'll be here. So the point is, Rabbi, I want to tell you that women really better not to have a beard. And so if a woman has a beard, that some women do grow a little bit, whatever. So the solution is just to to laser it or to wax it, whatever. Yeah, I'm sorry. Yeah.
And this is no insult to the Torah or you're just reading.
Hopefully.
Do you think that it's a possibility
that
this was forbidden because back then there was no alcohol or any antiseptic?
Yeah.
That if since you're because there was a pianist that actually got a paper cut, a concert pianist, and he was put out of commission for 20 years. He got an infection from a paper cut.
Yes.
And it spread.
Yes.
So you can die from an infection. And back then...
Right. So the truth is, to be honest with you, they had alcohol in those days, right? So there wasn't really, alcohol is not a new invention.
I see.
Why is the knife forbidden?
So it's a spiritual.
Why is the knife forbidden?
Why is the knife forbidden? The truth is, right, that there are several theories presented regarding this, right? I want to tell you a general rule in Torah. The general rule is that whatever is written in the Torah, this is written in the Torah. Exactly. Don't ask questions because whether you know the reason or not, you have to keep it anyway.
Right.
Because there's something written in the Torah. This is not something that's logic. There is some logic behind it also as well.
So it's in the Torah not to shave?
Yeah, for sure it's written in the Torah. Yeah. No, it's written in the Torah. No, it's from the Torah. This is prohibition. Right?
Yeah, it's not rabbinical. I know
it's not rabbinical. No.
For 30 years already that it's
right.
supposedly
not.
It's written in the Torah. It's written in the Torah. So when it comes to things like this, we don't really need a reason because God doesn't want you to shave. That's all.
From above here, this is the holiest part of the body.
I'm sorry, what was that again?
That from above here, that this is the holiest.
Yeah, the face is the holiest. Yeah, for sure, no question.
So it had something to do with that. I always thought.
That what?
That you shouldn't put a blade up.
Yes, the partsuf.
I'll tell you, the only place I see that there's a reason given for this is the Rambam. The Rambam says, right, in his book, Mor Nebuchim, the reason Hashem forbade to shave right, the face with a blade, is because this was a custom of the idolatrous priests, right? The Vatican,
Vikings.
The Vatican, right? Before, in those times, there was no Vatican, but there was the ones who preceded that, the pagans, right? All these things, right? So these pagans, whatever, the custom by them was to shave with a blade. And until this day, by the way, that's their custom, So, so they shave, they want to look, whatever. So, because the Rambam says this is the reason why the Torah forbade, but this is really just something on the surface. There are also much deeper things there involved, whatever. But the point is, Rabotai, that for sure, right, there's no difference between today and the old days, right? The prohibition of shaving with a blade applies fully today as it was before. But there are solutions. If you want a solution, there are solutions.
The disposables, the manuals have been getting more and more sophisticated.
Yeah,
they're not talking about this anymore.
They're very, very, very good. I know that they're very, very good. They're excellent. But when the blade touches your face, this is the problem, right? If it's not touching the face, it's there's a screen over it, like with the machine. So then they're okay. We're all right. We're okay. Yeah. So anyway, Rabbi, as we said, right, that the woman should not have a beard, better. But for the men, it is, it's a good thing to have a beard, actually, right? It is a positive thing. So if a person wants to do something a little bit extra, to grow a beard, so definitely it's a good thing to do. Definitely it's a very, very right, praiseworthy thing to do. I don't know. To each his own, right? Everybody's got their own. By the way, there are some even rabbis who don't grow a beard.
Yeah.
They want to look modern for certain reasons. Maybe they think that people will like them more or whatever. They'll be more acceptable. There are all kinds of.
You remember the yeshiva in Philadelphia that we went to?
Yes.
None of the rabbis had a beard.
Interesting. Oh. Wow! I didn't even notice that. Your memory is better than mine. What can I tell you?
I remember their names also.
Oh, God bless you. God bless you. Right. To be honest with you, Rabbi,
and they were very orthodox rabbis.
Yes. No, I agree with you. You know what it is? As I told you, right, that the Lithuanian approach, the Lithuanian rabbis, by them, a lot of them don't grow beards. And by the way, the truth is that what one of the main reasons is that in the Lithuanian world they don't grow beards. A lot of the people. It's because the women don't like it, and the women don't, what happens is like this, right? When the young boys are going to yeshiva, and they want to get a shidduch, a date, whatever, to go out with somebody, to find somebody to marry, the girls didn't like the beards, the way it looks, and it's because of that. God bless you, you're not Lithuanian,
I'm sorry, it just is.
You understand? By them in Europe, this was a European culture.
European
culture. In European culture, it's considered to be like not so nice, not so clean, not so presentable. Yeah. So therefore, in the European culture, it was very, very accepted to be clean shaven.
Even when I go to Europe, I go to business meetings sometimes. My associate always tells me, shave. No, really, because they don't like it.
Exactly, they don't like it. They don't like it. Yeah. So until this day, by the way, we have this culture thing. So the Lithuanian world, which was its roots are in Europe. So over there, it wasn't so accepted to have a beard. It was like more accepted to be clean shaven. And therefore, they used to do it with a cream. That's what they used to do. They weren't shaving with a razor. These people, they use cream.
So they put the
and the cream, by the way, works very well if you get used to it. It takes a little time to get used to it. Once you get used to it, people have told me that use it. They say it works fantastic. It's really, really good. It's a little smelly, but
V. It's called V.
Whatever.
Well, it's got
it's got that stuff. That chemical. Right.
Yeah, V.
Yeah, you can go to any grad store. Yeah.
It's like sulfur.
The commercial. Their remover.
Okay, so you put the cup in the sack.
Yeah.
Right, exactly. So anyway, getting back to what we said over time.
That could work on a very dense stubble.
It does. It works. It works very well. There's a lot of macho guys, who shave like that. Macho guys, really, really macho.
Yeah, I'll stick. So, and the Lithuanian rabbis, I'm assuming they use Norelco.
They use cream, most of them.
Oh, I see.
Yeah, they use cream. In the yeshivot, what they do is like this, right? In the yeshivot, each one gets like a ration, every month of cream. They give it to them for free. They hand it out.
What is this culture?
It's a European culture.
It's ridiculous.
Unless the stubble is a little long.
It works very well. Just gotta get used to it.
I'll let you know next week.
Someone says you're missing an organ if you don't have a beard.
Okay, guys, whatever. We can argue about this all night, right?
It's not about you guys. It's about Lithuanians.
By the way, the way you feel, also the Chazon Ish felt this way. The Chazon Ish, who himself was Lithuanian rabbi, he was against that the Bachurim, the yeshivot, the young boys are shaving like that. He didn't like that. He thought it was not proper. Not that it was not allowed. He didn't say it was not allowed, but he said it's not proper that Ben Torah, a person who's learning Torah, should be going without a beard. So he agreed with you. There's somebody on your side.
Seriously?
There's somebody on your side as well. Okay, so getting back to what we said, everybody's got their own approach to these things. Whatever. Right? But the truth is, Rabbi, as we said, right, that when it comes to shaving with a blade or a knife, so then there's really a problem there, according to the Torah, right? There's nothing you can do about that. By the way, I was also asked about another thing, right? Which is what? Are you allowed to shave the neck with a beard? Because really, it's not a part of the face, right? The neck with a blade.
Yeah.
Can you shave the neck with a blade? Because the neck is really not a part of the face.
Yeah.
What does that mean, right? That really, when the Torah told us not to use the blade, it's talking about the face only, not the neck, not behind the ear. Not talking about that.
Right here behind.
Behind the ears?
Right here behind the.
That's for sure not allowed.
No.
Peot, right? It's peot. Right?
Above the bone,
For sure, it's not
it's
allowed.
not allowed.
Yeah,
Above the bone.
and not allowed. Right. So the thing is like this, right? That what's the answer to that? So the answer is right that the Ramah writes in Shulchan Aruch. There are also other rabbis who have told me this as well. That the truth is that a person should not really use a blade on his neck either. You know why? Because we're afraid he's going to go also do the face. You know, by mistake, whatever. You know, it's going to So because of that, really, a person should not, as a good advice, as a good thing, don't use the blade on your neck, because you're going to maybe come to do it on the corner. Because if you do it on your chin, that's already not allowed, right? On your chin here, over here, on your jaws, that's not allowed. So once you get to that point, it gets already into the forbidden territory. So therefore, the best thing is like this, right? If a person wants to use something on his neck, what should he do? Use a shaving machine or a haircut machine, right? One of those trimmers that you can use, no problem.
This actually goes further than some people may think. You know why? A barber told me once.
Yes.
Who became observant.
Yes.
That his rabbi told him.
Yeah.
He went for a haircut one day before he was religious, and he asked him, "How far do you want me to go?" Something like this, with this, and they started this guy, and he said, "Putting a blade to your face is 20 times worse than eating pork."
Why are we always counting things I'm eating?
20 times worse. Okay.
Why do Jews always do that? Oh, it's
I don't know why he compared this. It's such a big
abomination.
Yeah. It's such a big no-no that it's actually worse than eating.
You know why he tells you that? I'll tell you why. Because what he's trying to tell you is like this, right? That there are on the face 5 corners that you're not allowed to shave. 5 corners of the face, right? So each corner has its own prohibition. You understand? So each corner you get one prohibition. So he's trying to tell you, it's like more and more and more. Excuse me. Okay, very nice. Okay, whatever. But the point is, right, that if a person wants, but when it comes to haircutting machine, trimmer, you can use that anywhere. Even on his peot.
Yeah,
because it doesn't shave all the way.
It doesn't shave.
It's like a scissor, basically.
Yeah.
Like a scissor action. So because of that, by the way, there are some barbers over here who asked me this question. A lot of Bukhari guys over here, they're doing haircuts, right? So they're coming to me and asking me, right? Are you allowed to because they're cutting people's hair all day. Yeah. So they're asking me, right, like this. When I trim the peot over here, right, this area, can I use a machine? I told them, yes, you can use a trimmer, you can use a haircutting machine for that. They thought it wasn't allowed.
You used to come down on me very hard with this when you became religious. You told me, David, I hope one day you're going to stop using a blade because it's a big, big avera.
Well, it's considered to be very big. I'll tell you how big it is. You know how big it is? They say, right? Now we're going to Rosh Hashanah, right? We're going to Rosh Hashanah.
Yeah.
So they say, right, if you have a chazan who has a very good voice, and you want to hire him to pray for the holidays, right? If he shaves with a blade, you're not allowed to hire a person like that.
Oh boy,
This
is going deep.
That's understand? His prayers, where are they going to go? They're not going to even go up. They're not going to go up anywhere.
Better off you are.
So therefore, a person has to be careful. I'm sorry. Peot is it's not allowed to shave peot.
No, but like we all have peot, but I'm saying it gets longer and then you cut it down. Is that allowed?
You can use a shaving machine.
It's not
trimmer.
a chumrah to have
not a problem to use a trimmer.
Just to bring some hypocrisy into this, I'm not going to mention any names. You know who I am. I never mention names.
Sometimes you do.
But I know people that shave with a blade, but they put Scotch tape on the light switch.
Okay, so at least they're keeping Shabbat. That's good, you know.
understand what
It's better than nothing.
No, it is better.
Yeah.
It's wonderful to keep Shabbat. But I've told them many times that
You don't really need that, right? It's a stringency, you know.
You're doing no, not that. I don't get involved with it. I stop making up my own halakha when it comes to you let people do what they want. What I'm saying is, I've told them many times. I know for a fact that you shave with a blade because the machine gives you rash or whatever.
Yes.
But I told them, I want you to know that that's much, much worse than flicking on a light switch on Shabbat.
Yes, it's true. It's true.
Yeah.
You're right.
And
You're
they don't
right.
wanna
Even though
listen.
some people think that the other way, but it's not really true.
The switch on Shabbat is like 10 times it would work.
No, I'm
And the
saying.
machine is 12. Let's go.
Okay, rabbis. Well, I guess we'll stop here. You want us to continue, or should we stop here?
With
We're
the
doing-
shaving, this way we'll know that we stopped with
We
the
start
shaving.
where?
Yes.
The point is like this, right? That if you just want to finish this narrative, whatever, get to a stopping point.
Okay.
So we said, right? Yosef HaTzadik now wanted to frame them up, right? Give them the scare of their life over here. He wants to see if they're worthy or not. So what does he do? Right, he has them put the goblet in the sack of Binyamin, and this way, what's going to be is that what? That they're going to now frame them up, right, and say, "Oh, you guys stole, you stole my goblet."
That's how we know. I'll tell you what.
So they see them off,
That's
right? And the goblet is inside the sack of Binyamin. They say, "Okay, bye-bye. Have a nice trip. Enjoy. Bye-bye." Okay, so now they're going to get framed, right? What's going to be is like what? As little bit as they're walking, right, out from the palace until they left the town. So Yosef HaTzadik goes to Menashe, right? His son tells him, "Just go now and bring them back." They already left, right? They thought they got away with it, got clean, right? Go and bring them back now. So what should you do? Go and tell them, what happened? You guys stole my master's goblet? What happened? I gave you a nice dinner. I treated you like kings. I gave you the royal treatment. This is how you thank me to steal my master's goblet, huh? So he went, Menashe, and he caught them like that. Can you imagine? And they're like looking at each other. Oh my God, what's going on over here? Oh Lord. So it happens like this, right? They answered Menashe. They say, "What are you talking about? We're going to steal? We're going to steal your master's goblet? What do we need that thing for? What do you think? What? Because it's expensive. It's an expensive item. It's made out of crystal or whatever it is. We're going to steal it because of that." So they said, "For sure, we didn't steal any goblet. If you want, you can check our luggage. See if there's anything there. Find it and see what's what. We didn't steal nothing." And they said, if you find somebody who's you're gonna catch, stole it, we will punish him. He's gonna be punishable. We will agree to punish him. So it happens like this, right? That Menashe says, "Oh, okay, let's look in the luggage. Let's see what's going on. Let's see if you really stole it or not, right?" So what does he do? In order to trick them, right? What does that mean? He knew who had the goblet in his luggage, right? But in order to trick them that he doesn't know, as if, whatever. So he started with the older one, and he went down, like with age, whatever. So Binyamin was the youngest one. So he found it in the last one, oh, finally, opens it up and there it is, there you go, right? Right? You guys are all caught now, huh? You stole it, that's it. Frame them. So what happens, right? They said, "Oh, you know what? We're gonna have to go back to the palace now, because you guys are in big trouble. When you steal, by the way, there was a rule, There was a rule in Mitzrayim, in Egypt. When somebody steals over there, they all become slaves, They said, you're gonna have to all become slaves. That's the rule over here. Can you imagine? So they said, okay, let's go back to the palace and we're gonna discuss this issue. Right? Right? All of a sudden, right? Can you imagine? Big frame up. So they go back to the palace. And Yosef is waiting there. He knows what's going on, right? He knows. So he's sitting there waiting. So he tells him, he says, "What happened?" He says, "How did you do this?" Right? He says, "Don't you know I'm using this thing to divine? Don't you know I need this thing? How did you steal such a thing like that?" He tells him. "Don't you know that this is something important for me? I use this to find out all kinds of information. This is my holy tablet over here. I find out everything over here. What are you talking about?" So comes Yehuda to them, to Yosef. He steps up there, right, and says, He says, okay. He says, we got caught. What can you do? We didn't know our youngest brother was a thief. We had no idea that he stole it. So they said, so Yehuda tells Yosef, he says, you know what? He says, no problem. He says, I'll take the slavery on myself, right? I'll be the slave. Since one only stole, not everybody stole. Everybody know, right? So since only one stole, I'll be the one who takes the slavery on himself, right? I'll stay and let the other ones go back home. Because he was responsible for Binyamin, you understand? So he now had to come in and take care of his situation over here, you understand? So he tells Yosef like that, right? He says, I'll be the one who's going to stay, right? I'll be the slave, everybody else let him go home, right? So I guess we'll continue next time because it's a long story here. Becomes very exciting over here. The next story is very exciting. So I want to ask you guys a question, right? Which is,